Scene 1. The frozen wasteland Antarctica. A blinding, endless desert of pure white, spanning nearly 14 million square kilometers at the bottom of our world. It is the coldest, driest, and most isolated continent on Earth. To the human eye, it appears entirely dead, a barren expanse of solid ice where temperatures drop below -80 degrees Celsius, and freezing winds howl across desolate plateaus at hundreds of kilometers per hour. For centuries, humanity looked at this frozen continent and saw nothing more than an insurmountable barrier, a land defined by absolute void. We assumed that beneath this blinding white surface lay nothing but solid bedrock, frozen stiff since the dawn of memory. We were entirely wrong. Imagine standing right in the middle of this frozen wilderness. The air is so cold that every breath stings your lungs like broken glass. Now, look straight down beneath your boots. Beneath you lies an unbroken wall of solid, black ice, stretching down into the abyss for nearly 4 kilometers. And beneath that crushing, unimaginable weight, lies an alien ocean, a massive body of liquid water trapped in pitch-black darkness, sealed off from Earth's atmosphere long before the first human beings ever walked the planet. This is Lake Vostok, a subterranean realm that hasn't seen a single ray of sunlight in over 15 million years. But how can a liquid lake exist beneath 4,000 meters of freezing ice? What strange forces keep it alive? And more unsettlingly, what could be swimming down there in a world forgotten by time? Scene 2. The discovery of a subterranean ocean. To understand the sheer magnitude of Lake Vostok, we have to rewind to the height of the Cold War. In 1957, Soviet researchers established Vostok Station, a remote scientific outpost built at one of the most hostile coordinates on the surface of the planet. Located near the geomagnetic South Pole, it earned the terrifying title of the Pole of Cold, a place so brutally frigid that in 1983, instruments recorded a ground temperature of -89.2 degrees Celsius. For decades, the scientists stationed at Vostok were simply trying to survive, drilling deep into the ice sheet to pull up ancient ice cores to study Earth's historical climate patterns. They thought they were drilling through a solid, endless continent of ice. It wasn't until the 1990s, using advanced satellite radar altimetry and seismic sounding, that researchers made a discovery that sent shockwaves through the global scientific community. When radio waves were beamed down through the thick glacial sheet, they didn't just bounce back from jagged bedrock. In a massive region directly beneath Vostok Station, the radar signals passed straight through the ice and struck a surface that was perfectly flat, smooth, and highly reflective. The data was undeniable. It was liquid water, stretching over 250 kilometers long and 50 kilometers wide. Lake Vostok is roughly the size of Lake Ontario. It is the 6th largest lake on Earth by volume, buried under nearly 4 kilometers of heavy glacial ice. For millions of years, as ice sheets shifted and continents drifted, this massive body of water remained completely locked away in a planetary vault. No air, no sunlight, no interaction with the outside world. It is a pristine time capsule from an ancient Earth. Scene 3. The physics of the ice shield. This immediately brings us to a fundamental paradox. How can liquid water exist in a place where the surface temperature regularly drops low enough to freeze steel? Why hasn't Lake Vostok turned into a solid block of ice over millions of years? The answer lies in a delicate balance of planetary physics driven by 2 key mechanisms. First, let's look at a simple analogy. Think of ice skating. When a skater glides effortlessly across an ice rink, their entire body weight is concentrated onto the microscopic edge of a thin metal blade. That immense, localized pressure actually lowers the freezing point of the ice beneath the blade, melting a tiny layer of water for the skater to slide on. Now, take that exact physical law and scale it up to a planetary level. The crushing, astronomical weight of a 4-kilometer thick sheet of ice exerts nearly 400 atmospheres of pressure on the lake floor. Under this colossal mass, the freezing point of water drops significantly, making it far easier for the ice at the very bottom to melt into liquid water. Second, there is the heat from the Earth itself. Deep beneath the Antarctic crust lies geothermal energy, heat radiating upward from our planet's molten mantle. This geothermal heat acts as a natural underfloor heating system, gently warming the bed of the lake. Meanwhile, the massive ice sheet above acts as a giant, insulating thermal blanket, trapping the heat below and shielding the liquid lake from the lethal, freezing winds of the surface. caught in a perpetual vice between the crushing pressure from above and the steady thermal energy from below. Lake Vostok remains perpetually liquid, a warm heart beating inside a chest of solid ice. Scene 4, an alien realm on Earth. Because Lake Vostok has been trapped in complete isolation for up to 15 million years, its internal environment is completely unlike anything else on our planet. It is a realm of biological extremes that feels far more suited to an alien moon than to planet Earth due to the staggering pressure exerted by the glacial sheet above. The water inside Lake Vostok is supersaturated with dissolved gases, particularly oxygen and nitrogen. Scientists estimate that the oxygen concentration inside the lake is roughly 50 times higher than that of a typical freshwater lake on the surface. To most living organisms as we know them, this extreme concentration of oxygen would be highly toxic, a phenomenon known as hyperoxia, which causes severe oxidative stress and cellular destruction. Furthermore, the lake exists in unbroken, absolute darkness. Sunlight cannot penetrate more than a few hundred meters of glacial ice, leaving Lake Vostok plunged in pitch-black shadow for millions of years. Without sunlight, photosynthesis is entirely impossible. There are no aquatic plants, no algae, and no conventional marine food chains. If life exists in Lake Vostok, it cannot rely on the sun. It must survive on minerals, chemicals, and raw thermal energy leaking from the Earth's core. Organisms capable of thriving in such nightmarish conditions are known as extremophiles, creatures that flourish in environments that would instantly kill ordinary life. And this is precisely why Lake Vostok has become the most important laboratory on Earth for astrobiologists. Scene 5, the gateway to extraterrestrial life. For generations, humanity has gazed up at the night sky, searching distant solar systems for signs of alien life. But Lake Vostok forced scientists to realize that alien environments might not be light years away. They might be hiding right here beneath our feet, far out in the cold depths of our solar system. Orbiting the gas giants Jupiter and Saturn lie moons like Europa and Enceladus. These extraterrestrial worlds are covered in thick, frozen shells of solid ice, miles deep. Yet beneath those icy crusts, scientists know that global subsurface oceans exist, kept liquid by tidal friction and geothermal vents. For years, researchers struggled to imagine what those extraterrestrial oceans might look like, or how living organisms could ever evolve in pitch black, pressurized waters beneath miles of ice. Lake Vostok is the closest earthly analog to Europa. It is a natural proving ground for astrobiology. If microbial life can adapt, evolve, and survive in the hyper-pressurized, oxygen-saturated, sunless abyss of Lake Vostok, it proves that life is far more resilient than we ever imagined. The microscopic organisms floating in Antarctica's deepest lake could provide the exact biological blueprint for the kind of alien life we might one day discover beneath the ice of foreign worlds. Scene 6, the treacherous drilling mission. Driven by the breathtaking desire to glimpse this forgotten world, Russian researchers spent decades drilling down toward the surface of the lake. But piercing through 4 kilometers of shifting, high-pressure glacial ice is an engineering nightmare. Drilling through glacial ice is not like drilling through solid rock. Deep below the surface, extreme pressure causes ice to behave like a slow, sticky liquid, constantly trying to pinch the drill hole shut. To prevent the massive borehole from collapsing inward, engineers had to fill the shaft with a heavy chemical fluid, a toxic cocktail containing over 60 tons of kerosene, freon, and aviation fuel. Meter by painstaking meter, year after year, the drill bit slowly bit into the ice. As the drill approached the liquid surface of the lake in the early 2010s, a terrifying ecological dilemma emerged. If the drill bit broke through into the lake, thousands of liters of toxic kerosene could rush down into Lake Vostok, forever contaminating a pristine ecosystem that had remained untouched since the Miocene epoch. On the other hand, if the lake's immense hydrostatic pressure was miscalculated, the hyperpressurized water could erupt violently upward through the borehole like a massive geyser, freezing instantly, destroying the surface station, and trapping the crew in the brutal polar winter. In February 2012, after decades of grueling, high-stakes engineering, the team achieved a historic breakthrough. By carefully balancing the pressure in the borehole, they allowed the lake water to push gently upward into the bottom of the shaft, where it froze naturally into a solid plug of lake ice. Scientists then pulled this pristine ice core to the surface, bringing long-lost secrets out of the darkness and into the light.